couple of projects here that I've been working on with some old book pages. And this one is just a little tag that I've got, and I've got some flowers in each corner. And then this one is a pretty little bookmark. So I thought I'd concentrate on the bookmarks today. It's basically the same kind of design, but the tag you're going to do a little shorter and a little wider and then cut off the edges. But it's basically the same way you can do these. But I want to do some bookmarks here. And so I'm going to be using just an old book page out of an old book that was just going to be discarded. So let's get started. Let me zoom out just a little bit here. So we've got a little bit of workspace. Move this over here to the side, and then let's bring in a couple of papers to glue on. I'm going to start out with just using a glue stick. A lot of times my favorite glue to use is the Elmer's glue, but I've been finding that this Pen and Gear works just as well for me as long as I put it on a little bit more thicker, and it's much cheaper. So I'm going to be using that today, and I'm going to start with a little sheet of white cardstock that I've had left over from cutting some of my mini note cards. This is just the size that I end up with, so I'm always looking for little projects to use on it. Use those up, and these bookmarks work out perfect size because I don't even have to trim it down anymore. And these are 2 inches by 6 inches, so just a perfect little size. And I'm going to throw some glue on this. I've cut this, just pulled this out of the book already, and I can use like the edge of this right here as my guide for where I'm going to flip that onto. I like to kind of make it be, you know, just the horizontal lines going across good, but I mean you could do it at an angle however you like. But I usually try to look for on the book page itself where the writing's a little bit thicker on it. So if like on this side, when I was tearing this out, I saw all the there's plenty of wording on it. So that's the spot I'm going to use, but I'm going to flip it over and this lines up perfectly. So here we go. Like I said, I'm going to use this particular glue stick, but I'm going to put it on a little thicker. I want to make sure it is going to stay. Let's flip it over and line it right up in the corner. That'll be good. Move that out of the way. And then I'm just going to come and trim around this real quick. These bookmarks come together pretty fast. And they also make a really nice gift to add. If you've got a book lover in your family and you're giving them some gifts, these bookmarks are really nice to add to that. And trim this other side and then we'll be set to go. Just want to stick there. All right. We got that done. Move this out of the way. And you can tell as I'm doing this because it's starting to want to bend just a little bit. You can kind of see it. So a lot of times when that happens, as I'm working on the project, I'll just kind of keep running it through my fingers so it doesn't get that warble kind of look to it. So I'm happy with that. And the next thing I want to do is I've distressed the edges of this, and so I'm going to bring over my distress ink. And I really don't want all of that ink to get on my work surface, so I'm going to take these 2 glue sheets that I just had, kind of put it on there so as I'm using my sponge it's not going to get all over my top of my surface here and make the other stuff get this ink on it. So kind of move through this quickly, catch the top here, and I'm going to go through and do this again in just a minute, but I like to go ahead and get it started. Okay, once again I'm going to run my fingers through there. You don't have to do that, but that's the way I do it. Okay, move that over. And then for this edging, there's a variety of things that you can use for the edging. And I've got, first of all, I pulled out just from a little stash that I had just some stickers. And as I'm doing it, I'm thinking about what's going to look nice in the corners. I think these flowers, I'm just going with flowers on all of these today, but I like the way the flowers look. And so for this package, I did use some of these, but you can also go through your stash and just find different ones. Like this would be a perfect little border for that. Again, this is just a piece of vellum, but like this, and you can even split it in half or even put a flower up in one corner. I might even fussy cut that and kind of use that a little bit. These are rub-on transfers, but these ones like this that got a little corner already, on it is going to be perfect for this project. Of course, you can use anything. And then I just thought this was another pretty set. I did one here that I've got started where I used one that was here in the corner. You can kind of tell the colors are the same, but I like that how that one went too. So using stickers is a great option, and that's what I'm going to use today to show you. But one other thing I want to show you, if you don't have any stickers that work in your paper pads, sometimes you'll come across where you have these bigger sections, and unless I'm going to make like a little junk journal or something with it, I don't use these pages a lot. But any that have a nice little border on it, I would again just fussy cut around that and then use that in the corner of one of these. I think that would be pretty. And then these big pages like this is just an old one, but these big pages, let me zoom out just a little bit more here. You can see, but how they've got these edgings on it. I would probably utilize this little section right here for something, but the whole page itself, I don't scrapbook a whole lot anymore, so that I don't use them. But then look how pretty just this corner is right in here. And this would be a perfect other page that you could use on there. And then I pulled this one out too, because there was one other little part in here I think I was going to show you. Oh yeah, like these. See how this card right here, this Hello Gorgeous one, it already kind of has that angle going at it, or you could use these or fussy cut around these other ones. So anyhow, those are just ideas, because a lot of times for the stuff I have for my Etsy shop, I don't utilize these pages that are in between. So that's a great way to use some of those up, those little inserts. So back to this. I have this sticker here, sheet. I'm just going to pull this out. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, but I'll pull one here. They're all the same. I was just looking at this other set, but yeah, they're all the same. So let's put this little guy right here in the corner. And I'm going to go off the page just a little bit, so I'm using up that whole corner. And then I'm just going to cut that off on the back side. And then I'm going to do the same thing to the top. This time I'll just flip it around. Let's see what angle we want there. I think that would be pretty. But these are just little bookmarks that come together super quick and using stuff you might already have on hand. Okay, at this point, I'm going to flip these two sheets over so I have a clean spot. I'm going to lay this on here, and then I want to, I'm going to ink up the middle of this just a little bit and add just a little bit of color. I don't know if you can tell on this, it's real light, but I've just added a little pink splotches in between, and then I've darkened this up just a little bit to give it a little more, I don't know, a little more something to it. Anyway, I like it. So I'm going to use my corner rounder and round the corners first. Then I'll come back over with my ink again. And I want to make it just a little darker. And then I also want to catch the stickers just a wee bit. Soften that up so it kind of is cohesive and has the same look to it. And then I'm going to lay this down. Let me pop that off. Shake it off. There we go. And I'm going to go and just hit just the middle of this in a few spots. If you've got a lot of ink in yours, you won't want to do this too hard, but I like giving that just a little bit. And then I've just got a pink here that I'm going to use. This is just an old one from Color Box. It's in the pink. And then I've just got a little piece of sponge or foam even that I'll do this with. And then I'm just going to dot on. Not real heavy, just a few little spots to give it a pretty look. And I think that'll be enough. Let's add a little on top of the stickers. And that's it. Just a little bit. Sometimes a little bit goes a long way and just adds a little bit. Okay, so at this point would be a great time before we add in our ribbon and stuff to the top to add some embellishments if you want to. So one thing that I could do on this one, I've got just a butterfly punch, and then I've kind of got this pink color that matches. I've already cut out a couple there. And I'm going to flip it over and we'll punch these out. And then we can see if we want to add those to our thing. I think it might be nice to use the sponge that we had earlier. Let me do it on top of here. Use the sponge and kind of ink the edges of this just so it's all kind of cohesive and blending together good. Gives it a little softer look. I'll do the same one. My sponge is getting pretty old. I probably need to switch to another one because it's kind of leaking off all these little parts, but that's okay. I'll use it up until it's gone. All right, I think I like that okay. Get that out of the way. And so with these, you can place them wherever you want. I did a short on this last week or so and asked if people like the butterflies on them or not, and I got more yays than nays, and I even had a suggestion to glue them on like closer to where the flowers are, so that would be pretty, you know, whatever angle that you think would add to it. You can add some gemstones or you know, anything really at this point that you want to, I think would be really pretty. So I'm probably going to leave mine as is for the moment, and then we'll move on to the other ones. One, I just used an eyelet on it. I just used my the We Are Memory Keepers thingy here. And, I used that to put an eyelet on it that kind of matched. This is an old set from Stampin' Up. That's one thing you could do, is put an eyelet in it. Another thing, actually let's just do that real quick here. I'll just grab the same color. And I am going to just go to center, flip it over and go to center as much as I can. Actually, I don't like using this part for that. I always use my little one. It's so hard to see. But that's how I like to do it. So I'm just going to go about center and punch it, and then I'll put my eyelet in through the front. Flip it so I can see it better. We'll put it in there and then just punch it down. And that's easy peasy. That's one way to put those in. So let me show you a couple other ideas, ways you can put something in the top, and then of course just some ribbon. I've got a couple other here, like I said, that I already did earlier. So another thing you can do is I'm going to punch, for this one, I'm going to punch a bigger hole right in the center. And I've got this little one that I've just used, but I've also got a standard size here. And I'm going to use the standard size for this one. I always like to flip it over. I think it's easier to see center. Punch a hole. Got that one up too tall, but that's okay. And let me show, at this point I can either add a little reinforcement label to it, and I've already done some in the back here that I've inked. I just used my walnut stain ink on here and gave that a little bit darker color. You can also do it like this one had a lot of pinkish ones in it, so you could use that same pink and put that in the top. But let's pull that off and see how that would look. Okay, that's still gonna fit on there. Okay, I got it kind of a little bit too tall, but that's okay. I should have went down further. I forgot it was the bigger one, but it still works. It still works. So let me show you another little tool that I have. I have one of these that you can make your own, reinforcer label with. And this one is a 1-inch. Anyhow, so let me show you how this works. I've just got an old piece of maroon cardstock. And I'm simply just gonna come in here and give it a punch. There it comes out. This one, for some reason, it kind of sticks in there sometimes. But then you could use this instead of that, and that would be really pretty on top of there. I think that one looks just fine for this project today, but I wanted to show you what this little tool was. It's always fun, I think, to see tools people have, and a lot of you probably already have that, but some of you might not, so that would be fun to try. And then you can also, so another option would be to come in with some lace. You could kind of layer it over and then put this on the back and staple this on if you wanted. You know, just staple it, cutting it off and then stapling the lace behind it, and that would be pretty to do that. So there's lots of different ways that you could add ribbon or string to the top of these. So I'm going to go ahead and add the ones I want in here, and then I'll end up putting a few pictures at the ends of how they all turned out. And like I said, if you're going to be giving a book as a gift, these little bookmarks would be a perfect little add-on. So until next time, we'll see you then.